member for Edmonton Ellerslie.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and through you to all the members of the House, I just want to wish you all a very good morning and also take this opportunity to wish you all a very happy and Ramadan Mubarak to each and every one of you. I also want to, I see Sadie's on her way out. I just wanted to thank Sadie for coming here today because like the member from Edmonton Glenora, whenever I have the opportunity to meet with children in my constituency, I always remind them that regardless of their age, they are equally as important as any other constituent and deserve to be represented. And I always encourage them to reach out to their elected representatives, whether that be at the municipal, provincial, or federal level, or their school board trustee, and to talk to them, to get engaged in the political process. That if they have an idea on how to make their community a better place, that they talk to their elected representative and make sure that their voice is heard. I want to take a step back because I want to remind us all about the history that we've lived here in this province, and that's reminding us that we had a conservative government for 44 years prior to the last new Democratic Party government. And I want to thank the member from Edmonton Rutherford for reminding us of the incredible neglect when it came to Indigenous peoples here in the province, and how important it is that we continue to acknowledge that we are on treaty lands and that we live in this space, this area, this beautiful place that Mother Earth, and we share that with Indigenous people. At the end of the day, I think that a good majority of Albertans really care about the environment and where we're headed. I think it's undisputed that climate change is real. There's a few people that are just holding on to this climate change denial idea. And the vast majority of Albertans really do care about the environment and climate change. And we can see that because, and it's sad. It's sad because we see other jurisdictions, not only in North America, but all across the world, who are far more ahead of us when it comes to actually addressing what is happening with climate change here on this earth. And I just want to remind us, I remember being younger than I am now, and I'm getting there. You know, I'm 45, so getting up there. But I remember being in my 20s, and when the City of Edmonton actually implemented the recycling program, the Blue Box Recycling Program. And I remember that there were a few people who were like, oh my goodness, now we're going to have this blue box and we're going to have to put it on the curb along with our garbage. And oh, what a fiasco, this is horrible. Why do we have to do this? But the reality is that at that time, the municipal government made a decision that was going to impact the lives of all Edmontonians with this policy. And not only did it do that, it actually encouraged this brand new culture of caring more for our earth through actually recycling. Recycling, it started just with recycling. And now it's expanded to the 4 R's, and I may need some help with this one, but it's reduce, reuse, recycle, and recover. Thank you very much. So, and what I'm going at with this, and people may be like, well, what's he talking about? Don't worry, that often happens when I get up to speak. You know, the members across the way start thinking about, like, what's this guy talking about to begin with? But the reason why I bring this up is because government policy helps drive us towards a new culture a new way of behavior that helps us build the better world that we're seeking to build for everybody. And that's why, like the Blue Box recycling program implemented by the City of Edmonton more than 25 years ago now, that is what the Climate Leadership Plan was designed to do as well. To help us get further down the road with building a better world for all Albertans, so that we can address this reality of climate change that we're all experiencing. So I wanted to take an opportunity to talk a little bit about the Climate Leadership Plan and really stress one thing that's so important, is that this was a plan that was designed in Alberta for Albertans. And by passing Bill 1, an act to repeal the carbon tax, essentially what we're doing is we're taking this Alberta-made plan where, as has already been expressed by other colleagues on this side of the House, revenue would stay in this province to help us with so many different programs, and now we're going to end up giving it all to the federal government. And you know, and that just to me just seems so odd, because the members across the way, I mean, it's no secret, they have no love for our Prime Minister, but here they are with their very first bill, taking an Alberta-based plan where revenue would have stayed here in the province of Alberta, and they're just handing it off to the federal government. Congratulations. How ironic. This Made in Alberta plan was helping so many Albertans. But before I go on with that, I want to just talk a little bit about the four main policies that the Climate Leadership Plan had all to do with. It was implementing a new price on greenhouse gas emissions, also known as carbon pricing. And it was going to phase out pollution from coal-generated electricity by 2030 and generate 30% of electricity from renewable sources by 2030. And I just want to take this opportunity to quote Noel Farber, who was the acting president at the time of the CEO of the Asthma Society of Canada, where they state, "There is a direct link between the burning of coal and asthma exacerbations, hospital admissions, and untimely deaths, not associated with climate change. The Alberta government has responded to protect the health of all Albertans, particularly those who suffer from respiratory diseases such as asthma. We are extremely pleased with the unwavering commitment the province has made today to ensure that the air we breathe is clean." Is clean. And this is what's so maddening about this bill, is that we don't know what this United Conservative government is going to do over the next 4 years to actually address climate change. Instead of proposing, they're just taking away something that the previous government had put in place. So I'm just kind of overwhelmed with sadness, to be quite honest. Sadness for children like Sadie, my own children. I have two of my own. And all the children of Alberta who actually care, because in schools today, you go to any school, and I'm sure that the members across the way go to the schools in their community as well, and they see young people who actually care about what's happening with the environment. You go to any school, any classroom, There's some kind of environmental program that those children in those classrooms are talking about. And they're doing their piece to address climate change in the classroom. Most important of those being actually taking that information home and sharing it with their parents and their siblings. Because I remind the members of this House that government policy is designed to complement and aid in helping us move forward as a people, as a culture, to help us change our behavior. The Climate Leadership Plan also was to cap oil sands emissions at 100 megatons per year, reduce methane emissions from upstream oil and gas production by 45% from 2014 levels by the year 2025. Alberta was on track to cut more than 50 megatons of emissions over the next 10 years. And the same as taking over, that's the same as taking over 10.6 million cars off the road, or nearly half the passenger vehicles in all of Canada. And this is like eliminating the emissions of Vancouver metro area by 3 times over. We were doing our piece. Yeah, it may have been small, but we were doing our part to address climate change. So when you repeal the carbon levy and the climate leadership program, this is essentially what you're taking away. So to all the members across the way, what are you going to replace it with? What do you propose? Because let me tell you something. Our government, when we came in, and I want to remind the members across the way that for 44 years, we had an antagonistic relationship with all the different types of stakeholders that existed within our society. The environmentalists, the corporations, Indigenous people. Everybody was kind of competing for their own interests. And there was an antagonistic relationship. We brought everybody to the table. We sat everybody down and said, let's work this out. Because that's the way that we truly move forward. Because as long as an antagonistic relationship exists, we're never going to be able to move forward because we're all going to be fighting with each other. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to remind us all that we need to bring everybody to the table and keep talking about real solutions to address climate change. And again, I want to ask the members across the way, what do you propose so that we can continue to move forward with making our environment more clean, more safe, better, so that along with our children, we're leaving them a world to look forward to, where we're taking care of the environment. I also wanted to address the issue of Climate Leadership Plan and how it was supporting more than 7,300 jobs in just the first 2 years. And that it was designed to have thousands of jobs and projects come in. And that I want to remind the members across the way that through the Climate Leadership Plan and the money that was being collected here, and the revenue would have stayed here in the province of Alberta, that was not going to general revenue, was actually going to specific programs to help us diversify the economy. I want to say that, it was so important. It's so important that we continue to diversify the economy. And I'm sure that the members across the way have ideas of their own on how we can continue to do that. It's very important. And I just want to say that, thank you.
Understanding Order 29-2A, are there any members with questions or comments? I believe I see the honourable member from Edmonton Whitemud.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Chair of Committees. I want to thank the member from Edmonton Ellerslie for his comments. I shared a lot of them. I do want to confirm that I believe the fourth R is recover, reduce, reuse, recycle, recover. I believe there's some thinking that it should be reform as well, and I think probably those go hand in hand. But I too recall those the days in the city of Edmonton when the Blue Box recycling program came out, and everybody complained about how much extra work it would be to sort the recycling from the garbage, and now we just realize that it's part of what we do and what it's just habit to us now, because we know it's important. We know we're getting greater use out of our materials by recycling, and we just get used to doing it, right? And it's part of what we do. And in fact, we know there's many municipalities across this country and even within Alberta who do a lot of other things, such as compost collection and such as that. So, you know, there are ways that things that seem difficult at first can then become something we're used to, and we all become more conscious of how to use our resources more responsibly and appropriately. So I thank you to the member from Edmonton Ellerslie, and I'm wondering if you could share a little bit. I'm interested about knowing a little bit more about maybe some of the feedback you received when you were on the doors, and not just on the doors during the campaign, but in the last few years when the Climate Leadership Plan was introduced. If you could tell us a little bit more about the comments you were hearing from your constituents and perhaps the impact of eliminating the Climate Leadership Plan and the carbon levy, and what sort of impact that could potentially have on your constituents.
The honourable member of Edmonton Ellerslie.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to the member for the question. Resoundingly, when I was out on the doorsteps of Edmonton Ellerslie, I can't tell you the number of people that were really excited about solar and the potential for introducing more solar. There was already constituents in my riding, even before we were government, that already had solar panels up on their roofs. And people were excited about the possibility of doing this on their own home as well. And in terms of, and I want to get back to diversifying the economy, because a big part of that was solar. And I mean, and if this bill goes through, I don't know if we can count on that anymore. And I just want to remind us all about that. And just since the Climate Leadership Plan was initiated, the solar industry has grown by 500%, and its installed solar capacity has increased from 6 megawatts in 2015 to 35 megawatts in 2018. And about 3,100 solar installations have been completed, and more than 300 certified companies have installed solar projects across the province. And Alberta has conserved enough energy to power a city the size of Leduc. And I just wanted to quote from John Gorman, President and CEO of the Canadian Solar Industries Association, where in 2015 he said, "Premier Notley's Made in Alberta, Made in Alberta climate plan opens the door for billions of dollars in renewable investment. For too long, discussions about climate change have focused on what we can't do. But Alberta has tremendous renewable energy resources, technology, costs keep falling, and it's time to focus on what we can do. Solar energy is ready to be a big contributor to a strong and clean Alberta economy." And you know, I want to take this opportunity to also even mention, I remember a couple of years ago, I was visiting with members of the Palestinian community here in the city of Edmonton. And one of the members from the community had come to me and said, well, okay, well, you know, we've started our own small business where our plan is to help Albertans actually make these solar installations and put them on their homes. Of course, there's a number of things that have to be worked out between municipalities and the province and those who are on their way. I hope that this government will continue to work towards that because there are business interests out there, small business interests out there that are very much interested in moving this forward because everybody sees how important it is as their way of dealing with climate change. Thank you.